You know that feeling when something so small, just one tiny slip of the tongue, ends up burning your entire life to the ground? Yeah, that's what happened to me. That's all it took. But I guess I should start from the beginning, before everything went sideways, back when I thought I had it all figured out. I'm Carmen, 27, living in Connecticut, where nothing exciting ever happens unless you make it happen yourself. And trust me, I made plenty happen. But let me tell you about Wayne first. My husband, well, soon-to-be ex-husband. God, that still feels weird to say. We met at Ultimate Fitness where I was working as a personal trainer. He wasn't like my usual type, the guys who spend more time flexing in the mirror than actually lifting. Wayne was different. He'd come in early mornings, do his routine without showing off, and actually listen to my form corrections instead of trying to mansplain fitness to me like most guys did. I noticed him checking me out during my group classes, but he wasn't creepy about it. When he finally asked me out, it was after a morning session, all sweaty and honest. No pickup lines, no games. Just, would you like to grab coffee sometime? It was refreshing, honestly. Wayne was 32, already established in his career managing a furniture store chain, and had actual goals. Like he wasn't just talking about what he wanted to do, he was actually doing it. He had plans to own his own franchise within 5 years, had his finances together, and didn't live with roommates. After dating guys who couldn't even commit to dinner plans, it was like finding an adult in a sea of boys. Our relationship moved fast. Like really fast. Within a year, we were married in this cute ceremony at his parents' lake house. Everyone said we were perfect together. Wayne's stability balanced out my spontaneity. His parents adored me, especially since I shared their entrepreneurial spirit. They even helped us with the down payment on our starter home, this cozy 3-bedroom in a nice neighborhood. The first 2 years were like a dream. Wayne supported me when I decided personal training wasn't cutting it anymore. I wanted something more challenging with better money and room to grow. When I landed the pharmaceutical sales job, he was more excited than I was. Took me shopping for my new work wardrobe, helped me practice my sales pitches, everything. But here's the thing about dreams. You eventually wake up. The routine started feeling suffocating. Wake up, kiss goodbye, work, dinner, Netflix, sleep, repeat. Wayne was spending more time at the store, talking constantly about expansion plans and profit margins. When we did go out, it was always with his work friends, discussing business strategies over mediocre appetizers at chain restaurants. I started making excuses to skip these dinners. Training for the new territory, I'd say, or conference calls with the West Coast team. Wayne never questioned it. He trusted me completely, which, looking back, makes everything so much worse. My job in pharmaceutical sales opened up a whole new world. Suddenly I was traveling for conferences, meeting people who didn't talk about furniture inventory all day. The money was better too. Way better. I could finally buy the things I wanted without Wayne's lectures about budgeting and emergency funds. That's when things started changing between us. Small things at first. I'd come home excited about landing a big account, and Wayne would just nod, distracted by spreadsheets on his laptop. Or I'd suggest a spontaneous weekend trip to Miami, and he'd talk about saving for his franchise plans instead. It's like we were speaking different languages. I started working later, volunteering for extra training sessions and regional meetings. Anything to avoid another night of Wayne's business talk or watching him fall asleep on the couch by 9. My colleagues became my new social circle. They understood the rush of closing a big deal, the thrill of competition. They lived for the now, not 5 years down the road. Looking back, I can see the warning signs. How I stopped sharing details about my day with Wayne. How I'd get irritated when he asked about my schedule. How I started dressing up more for work than for our date nights. But at the time, I told myself it was normal. Every marriage goes through phases, right? Wayne noticed something was off, in his own way. He started trying harder, booking dinner reservations, suggesting weekend getaways. But by then, I was already pulling away. His efforts felt like too little, too late. Or maybe I just wasn't giving him a fair chance. It's hard to be honest about that part, even now. I remember this one night about 6 months ago, when Wayne tried to talk to me about having kids. He had it all planned out. when we should start trying, how much we needed to save, which room would be the nursery. All I could think about was how trapped I felt. The idea of being tied down even more, of becoming a suburban mom with a minivan and soccer practices, it terrified me. That night was probably when I should have been honest with him. Told him I was feeling restless, unsatisfied. Maybe if I had, things would have turned out differently. But instead, I smiled, said we'd talk about it later, and threw myself even more into work. Work, where things were exciting, where I felt valued for more than just being someone's wife, where I met people who didn't have their whole lives mapped out in Excel spreadsheets, where I met DeMarcus. But that's where this story really begins to get messy. And trust me, you're going to want to hear every detail of how one single name destroyed everything I thought I had. DeMarcus showed up at our quarterly sales meeting like he owned the place. Regional sales manager, transferred from our Chicago office, and honestly, the energy in the room shifted the moment he walked in. He was everything Wayne wasn't. Bold, flashy, confident, in a way that demanded attention. The kind of guy who wore designer suits that actually fit and didn't come from the clearance rack at Men's Warehouse. The first time he touched my arm during a presentation, I felt like I'd been shocked. Just this casual brush as he walked past, but it lingered. Wayne hadn't made me feel that kind of electricity in... I can't even remember how long. After the meeting, DeMarcus held me back to discuss my territory performance. But really, he just wanted to talk. About anything. Everything. It became our thing, these little moments after meetings. He'd find reasons to touch me, fixing my name tag, brushing imaginary lint off my shoulder, guiding me through doorways with his hand on my lower back. I started planning my outfits around the days I knew I'd see him, trading my usual business casual for fitted dresses and heels that made Wayne raise his eyebrows at breakfast. "You're dressing up a lot lately," he said one morning, not looking up from his phone. "Just trying to look professional," I replied, checking my lipstick in the hallway mirror. "Some of us can't wear the same 3 suits in rotation." He looked hurt, but I pretended not to notice. Lately, everything about Wayne had started to irritate me. The way he chewed his food, how he'd leave his socks on the bathroom floor, his constant talk about the furniture business. DeMarcus was different. He got me. When I talked about wanting more from life than just working and saving for retirement, he didn't lecture me about responsibility. He'd share stories about his travels, the deals he'd closed, the life he was building. Looking back, I should have noticed how he never really talked about his personal life. But I was too caught up in the way he made me feel. Our text conversations started innocent enough, work questions, meeting confirmations, but then they shifted. He'd send me songs that made him think of me, ask what I was wearing to our next meeting, comment on how good I looked giving presentations. I saved his number under Denise from marketing and started deleting our chat history every night. Wayne was working later and later, focused on his franchise plans. Some nights he wouldn't get home until after 9, and I'd pretend to be asleep to avoid another conversation about budget projections or inventory systems. The distance between us grew, and I blamed him for it. In my mind, he was the one choosing work over our marriage. He was the one who'd changed from the guy who used to surprise me with weekend trips to this furniture-obsessed stranger. The real turning point came during a team dinner. DeMarcus sat next to me, his thigh pressed against mine under the table the whole night. Every time I reached for my wine glass, his fingers would brush mine. It was like this secret game between us. This electric current that nobody else could see. When he offered me a ride back to my hotel, we were hosting clients from out of town, I said yes without hesitation. We didn't do anything that night. Not really. Just talked in his car for hours, about everything and nothing. He told me I deserved more excitement in my life. Said a woman like me shouldn't be tied down to someone who couldn't match my energy. When he finally dropped me off, he kissed me on the cheek, so close to my mouth it made my heart race. I came home the next day to find Wayne had cooked dinner, his attempt at being romantic. But all I could think about was DeMarcus's cologne, the way his hand felt on my knee, how alive he made me feel. Wayne talked about his day, about progress on the franchise agreement, and I nodded along while typing messages to DeMarcus under the table. That's when the real lies started. Late client meetings turned into drinks with DeMarcus. Training sessions became hours in his office, perched on his desk while he told me all the things I'd been craving to hear. Every touch, every glance, every secret moment pushed me further from Wayne and closer to the edge I was pretending not to see. I knew what I was doing was wrong. Sort of. But in my head, I'd already rewritten our marriage story. Wayne was the distant workaholic who'd changed. I was the neglected wife seeking understanding. DeMarcus was the escape I deserved. It was easier than admitting the truth, that maybe I was the one who'd changed, who wanted something different than the life I'd chosen with Wayne. But reality has a way of catching up to you. And mine was about to come crashing down in the most spectacular way possible. The Boston conference was where everything changed. 3 days away from home, staying at this fancy hotel with an expense account and no one watching my every move. DeMarcus made sure we were both assigned to the same training sessions, same dinner groups. By the second night after too many cocktails at the hotel bar, I followed him up to his room. I'd love to say I felt guilty immediately after. That's what a good person would feel, right? But I didn't. I felt alive. DeMarcus knew exactly what to say, how to touch me, how to make me forget about everything waiting for me back home. We barely made it to our morning sessions, and I didn't even care who noticed. When I got back home, Wayne was waiting with flowers and takeout from my favorite Thai place. He'd missed me, he said, wanted to hear all about the conference. I fed him some boring stories about pharmaceutical presentations while deleting texts from DeMarcus under the table. That night, when Wayne tried to kiss me, I said I was too tired from traveling. The next few months became this crazy juggling act. DeMarcus and I started taking long lunches at hotels near the office. I'd tell Wayne I had evening training sessions, then spend hours in DeMarcus's apartment. The lies got bigger, bolder. I bought a second phone. Started keeping a change of clothes in my car. The thrill of sneaking around just added to the excitement. DeMarcus knew exactly how to keep me hooked. He'd ignore me for days, then flood me with attention. Send me expensive gifts I had to hide from Wayne. Show up at my sales meetings looking irresistible, then act completely professional. It was like this addictive game that I couldn't stop playing. I started picking fights with Wayne over nothing. His chewing was too loud. He spent too much time at work. He never surprised me anymore. Looking back, I was trying to justify what I was doing, make Wayne into the bad guy so I could feel better about my choices. But Wayne just tried harder, started coming home earlier, suggesting date nights, asking about my day. It only made me feel worse, which made me meaner. Then came that night, that stupid night that ruined everything. Wayne had actually made an effort, cooked dinner, bought wine, even lit candles. He was being sweet, attentive, everything I'd been complaining he wasn't. Maybe it was guilt, or maybe the wine, but I let him lead me to our bedroom. Everything was fine until it wasn't. One moment of weakness, of not paying attention to the walls I'd built between my two lives, and I moaned out DeMarcus's name instead of Wayne's. The silence that followed was deafening. Wayne froze. I froze. The whole world seemed to stop spinning for a second. "What did you just say?" Wayne's voice was so quiet, so controlled. It scared me more than if he'd yelled. "Baby, no, I didn't. You misheard." I scrambled to sit up, to explain, to lie, anything to erase the last 30 seconds. Who is DeMarcus? The way he said the name, like it was poison in his mouth, made my stomach drop. I watched Wayne get up, put his shirt back on with mechanical movements. His hands were shaking. He's nobody. A colleague? You're imagining things. The lies felt clumsy, desperate. A colleague. Wayne's laugh was hollow. A colleague you think about while we're in bed together. I tried everything, tears, anger, gaslighting. Told him he was being paranoid, that he worked so much he was creating problems in his head, that he was just insecure. But Wayne wasn't saying anything. He just started getting dressed, his movements slow and deliberate, like he was underwater. "Where are you going?" I asked when he grabbed his keys. To think. "Don't wait up." He didn't slam the door when he left. Almost worse, he closed it quietly, carefully, like he always did. I sat there in our bed in our house, surrounded by the life we'd built, and felt everything starting to crumble. I called DeMarcus immediately, but he didn't pick up. Sent him a dozen messages about what happened. His response, when it finally came hours later, was just 4 words. Handle your own mess. That's when the real panic set in. Wayne wasn't answering my calls or texts. I had no idea where he'd gone or what he was doing. And somewhere in the back of my mind, a voice was whispering that maybe, just maybe, I'd finally gone too far. Wayne came home the next morning looking like he hadn't slept. I tried to act normal, made his favorite breakfast, but he just stared at his coffee like it held all the answers he was looking for. When he finally spoke, his voice was different. Colder. I want to see your phone. My heart stopped. What? This is ridiculous, Wayne. You're being controlling. Controlling? He laughed, but there was no humor in it. You moan another man's name in our bed, and I'm controlling for wanting to see your phone? I clutched my phone tighter, mind racing. DeMarcus's messages were deleted, but there were still calls, calendar entries, little breadcrumbs I hadn't thought to cover up. This is insane. I'm not giving you my phone. I have client information on here. Confidential work stuff. Wayne just nodded, like I'd confirmed something for him. He got up, grabbed his keys again. I'm going to work. Maybe you can use this time to decide if our marriage means anything to you. I spent the whole day in a panic, calling DeMarcus between sales calls. When he finally picked up, he was annoyed. Look, Carmen, you need to keep it together. Delete everything. All texts, emails, pictures, and don't call me again from your main phone. But it was too late. Wayne wasn't playing around. He'd already called his lawyer friend, started gathering evidence. Bank statements showing hotel charges I couldn't explain. Gas receipts from places I shouldn't have been. Email records from work events that never happened. The worst part? He didn't blow up. Didn't scream or throw things. He just methodically built his case, piece by piece, while I spun more and more lies trying to cover my tracks. Then came the day I saw his car in the parking lot at my office. My blood ran cold when I realized where he was headed. DeMarcus's office. I ran through the building, taking the stairs because the elevator was too slow. But I was too late. I walked in on the most surreal scene of my life. Wayne, standing in DeMarcus's office, surrounded by photos I'd never seen before. Photos of DeMarcus with a gorgeous woman, both of them beaming at the camera. Vacation pictures, engagement photos. DeMarcus looked bored, leaning back in his chair like this was a mild inconvenience. Look, man, it wasn't serious, just a bit of fun. Carmen knew I was engaged the whole time. She didn't care, so why should you? The look Wayne gave me in that moment, I'll never forget it. Not anger, not even hatred. Just disgust. Pure, undiluted disgust. This is what you threw away our marriage for. A man who's been engaged this whole time? Who doesn't even try to deny it? I opened my mouth to explain, to defend myself. But what could I say? That I knew about the fiancé but convinced myself it didn't matter? That I was so caught up in the excitement, I didn't care who I hurt. Wayne just shook his head and walked out. DeMarcus's parting shot? By the way, Carmen, I'm transferring to Arizona next month. Fiancé got a great job offer there. It's been fun though. Everything unraveled fast after that. Word got around the office about the confrontation. Suddenly, people who used to eat lunch with me had meetings when I asked to join them. My sales numbers started dropping because doctors' offices mysteriously started preferring other reps. I tried everything to save my marriage. Tears, promises, even suggested counseling. But Wayne had changed. The warm, caring man I married was gone, replaced by someone who looked at me like I was a stranger. A disappointing stranger. You know what's funny? He said one night while packing his clothes. I kept blaming myself, thinking I worked too much, wasn't romantic enough, didn't give you enough attention. But that wasn't it, was it? You just didn't care who you hurt as long as you got what you wanted. The worst part? He was right. I'd told myself so many stories about being neglected, about deserving more excitement, about Wayne being the problem. But in the end, I was just selfish, and now everything was falling apart, and I couldn't blame anyone but myself. That was 6 months ago. Want to know what rock bottom looks like? Try sitting in your parents' guest bathroom at 27, staring at 2 pink lines on a pregnancy test, while your soon-to-be ex-husband's lawyer sends divorce papers to your email. DeMarcus blocked my number the day he left for Arizona. His fiancée posted their destination wedding photos last month. Some fancy resort in Cabo. They look perfect together. Meanwhile, I'm back in my childhood bedroom, listening to my mom's barely concealed disappointment every time she brings me ginger tea for the morning sickness. I tried to reach DeMarcus about the baby. Called from different numbers, emailed his work address, even messaged his fiancée. All I got was a cease and desist letter from his lawyer. Turns out Mr. Spontaneous and Exciting doesn't want his new wife knowing he left a pregnant ex-mistress behind. Wayne found out about the pregnancy through mutual friends. He called me, first time in months. I thought maybe, but no, he just wanted to make sure I wasn't trying to claim the baby was his. I did the math, he said, his voice flat. Good luck, Carmen. I mean that, but I'm done. The divorce was finalized last week. Wayne got the house, fair enough. His parents helped with the down payment. My name's been taken off all the accounts. The furniture store franchise he was working toward. He got approved. There's a giant billboard with his face on it right off the highway, advertising new ownership, same great service. He's smiling in the photo, looking happier than I've seen him in years. I got fired from my sales job. Officially, it was performance-related. Unofficially? Try being a pharmaceutical rep when all the doctors' offices in your territory have heard you're the one who had an affair with the engaged regional manager, who then skipped town. Nobody wants to deal with that drama. My parents are trying to be supportive, but I can hear them arguing at night. Dad thinks I should move out of state, start fresh. Mom wants me close because of the baby. They're both tiptoeing around the fact that their daughter is going to be a single mom whose baby daddy is married to someone else in Arizona. The worst part isn't losing Wayne or the job or even DeMarcus ghosting me. It's realizing that I did this to myself. All of it. Wayne wasn't perfect, but he loved me. He was building a future for us while I was throwing it away for someone who saw me as nothing more than a fun distraction. Last night, I saw on Facebook that Wayne's dating someone new. She owns a bakery downtown, one of those cute places that does artisan breads and fancy wedding cakes. They looked happy in the photo, her flower-covered apron pressed against his suit as he kissed her cheek in front of her shop. All our mutual friends liked the post. Several commented about how good they looked together. I shut down my social media after that. Couldn't take seeing everyone move on with their lives while mine feels stuck in the mess I created. The baby kicks sometimes now, and each time it happens, I think about how different this should have been. How this should have been Wayne's child, planned and celebrated, not a reminder of the biggest mistake of my life. Someone told me Wayne's planning to expand his franchise to 3 more locations next year. Meanwhile, I'm applying for receptionist jobs because it turns out no one wants to hire a pregnant woman who got fired from her last job for performance issues. I've got about 4 months left before the baby comes and no idea how I'm going to manage. DeMarcus's wife, still weird to say that, posts these perfect photos of their life in Arizona. Their house with a pool, their matching Teslas, their weekend trips to Sedona. Sometimes I wonder if she knows about me, about the baby. Probably not. Some secrets stay buried, I guess. You know what's funny? I used to think Wayne was boring, too focused on furniture and finances. Now I'd give anything for boring, for stability, for someone who comes home every night and talks about inventory systems. Instead, I'm reading books about single parenting and trying to figure out how to afford a 1-bedroom apartment on a receptionist's salary. They say karma comes back around. I just didn't expect it to come back wearing a maternity dress and carrying divorce papers. One slip of the tongue destroyed my marriage, but my own choices destroyed my life. And the worst part, I can't even say I've learned my lesson, because I'm still not sure I'm sorry for the right reasons. Am I sorry for what I did? Or just sorry I got caught? Sorry I hurt Wayne? Or just sorry my life fell apart? I guess I'll have plenty of time to figure that out in my parents' guest room, watching my stomach grow with a baby whose father is living his best life with his new wife in Arizona, while my ex-husband builds his empire with his baker girlfriend. Turns out exciting isn't all it's cracked up to be.